All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today we're breaking down how artificial intelligence is tackling one of the biggest, and I mean biggest, and most expensive problems in modern medicine, the hunt for new cures. So let's just start with a number, a really, really big number, $95 billion. Yeah, that's how much the pharmaceutical industry basically wastes every single year on experiments that just go nowhere. It's this massive drag on innovation, and, it slows down the whole search for life-saving medicines. So the crucial question, right, is how can we stop the bleeding? How do we fix this massive, massive inefficiency? Well, the answer, it turns out, lies in tackling the problem in a completely new way. Okay, so first up, pharma's billion-dollar problem and the high cost of searching for cures. To really get what AI brings to the table here, we've got to first understand the sheer scale of the problem it's up against. And this chart, wow, it just lays out the brutal reality. A staggering 60 to 75%. Think about that, 3/4 of all the initial ideas for new drugs, they fail. They fail during experimental testing. They just flat out don't work. And all that testing, it happens in what's called a wet lab. The traditional hands-on science we all picture, beakers, microscopes, the whole thing. But here's the catch. It's incredibly expensive, it's painfully slow, and like we just saw, most of the time it leads to a total dead end. Now, this incredibly high failure rate, it's not just a money problem. It's created something the industry now calls the validation crisis. Basically, it's about why so many good ideas get stuck. So what's fueling this crisis? Well, it's some major operational challenges. I mean, get this, 80% of experiments are still designed manually. The data you need is scattered all over the place, like in 100+ different spots. It can take 4 to 12 weeks just to design one experiment. And here's the real kicker. That whole lab validation process is 1,000 times slower than our ability to come up with new ideas on a computer. It just can't keep up. Okay, so how do we fix this? Let's talk about the solution. Think of it as a flight simulator for drugs. It's an AI-powered solution, and that analogy is actually pretty perfect. Instead of training pilots, we're testing new medicines before they ever get off the ground. The core idea is it's brilliantly simple. Imagine a virtual lab that can run millions of experiments right on a computer. It can identify the most promising ideas before you spend a single dollar or a single minute on a real test. It's about filtering out all the noise, all the bad ideas cheaply and quickly, so only the absolute best candidates make it to a real lab. Now, there's a technical term for this. It's called in silico screening. It sounds kind of fancy, but it's really just a way of saying research done by computer simulation. And honestly, this is the engine that's driving this whole revolution. So here's how it works. It's a pretty simple but super powerful 3-step process. First, a scientist inputs a causal hypothesis, an idea. Then, step 2, the AI just goes to work, running millions of virtual simulations to test it out. And finally, step 3, it spits out a prioritized list of the absolute best experiments to try out in the actual wet lab. It's all about finding that needle in the haystack. All right, now let's get to the real-world impact. Smarter, faster, cheaper cures. This is where we see how this all translates into results that could fundamentally change, well, everything about how we develop new medicines. First up, let's talk about the bottom line, money. By focusing only on the smartest experiments, the ones that are most likely to actually work, the platform cuts the cost of physical lab work by a massive 30 to 60%. That is a huge deal. And this, right here, this just shows the power of pre-screening. When you vet the ideas in a computer first, the experiments that actually do get run are 2 to 3 times more likely to succeed. Think what that means. It could lead to breakthroughs for diseases that have stumped researchers for decades, just because we're finally starting with much, much better bets. And look, this isn't just about saving money. It saves something that's arguably even more valuable: time. The old process, 10 to 16 weeks. The new AI-assisted process, just 4 to 8 weeks. That's shaving months off of every single validation campaign. So here's the crucial point. This isn't just about making a process more efficient for some big company. No way. It's about accelerating the entire path to new cures. And what that means is getting more effective medicines to the patients who desperately need them faster than ever before. That's the real goal here.
Okay, so this technology doesn't just reshape the science, it also opens up a whole new business model for the future of discovery itself, which could change how scientific progress happens, period.
So how does it work as a business? Well, the platform is sold as a subscription service, and you can see they've got this tiered model for access. It's pretty smart, actually. It makes the same powerful tech accessible to pretty much everyone, from academic labs that might be on a tighter budget, all the way up to biotech startups and, of course, the big pharma enterprise players. And ultimately, you can see why experts are calling this the critical bridge. It's the thing they've been waiting for. It finally connects the world of big data and these amazing computational ideas with the physical, real-world reality of lab experiments. It makes both sides of that equation smarter and way more effective. Which kind of leaves us with one last big question. We're starting with drug discovery, right? Which is incredible. But if we can accurately simulate experiments in biology to find new medicines, what's next? What other parts of science could use this? I mean, think about agriculture, materials science, even climate change. Are they just waiting for their own flight simulator? The possibilities here, they're just immense. It really makes you wonder.